interesting moment in time to celebrate that anniversary. So,
but still very noteworthy. Congratulations on 50 years.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Thank you. So, Raj, how are you?
Congratulations, Chair Bray. 50 years, it's a long time.
Yeah, and I've been there the whole time.
You mean you're older than 50?
Oh, way. I'm 72, so way too old for all this.
You look great.
Thanks. I see 4 commissioners here. There's one phone number down that. Is that another commissioner?
I'm not sure who the call-in number is, but Gavin, they must be somebody who got the panelist email, right?
Pardon me?
That call-in number on the panelist list?
Yeah, they would have had to have gotten a panelist ID in order to call in. It's just audio.
Okay.
Yeah, I see that. We'll see who that is when we call roll.
Let's see who it is right now. I'm asking them to unmute.
All righty then.
Unless it's Andrew trying to connect his audio.
Can you hear me?
Yes, who is this?
Can you hear me? This is Ralph Cachadorian at the Planning Department. I'm the one who's called in.
Thank you.
Hey, Ralph, we're getting a little bit of an echo from you. Do you have 2 devices going?
Yeah, Ralph, you'll need to silence anything you're listening to this meeting with in the background.
Well, good evening. It's 6 o'clock on Wednesday, October 21st. This is the Planning Commission's meeting. So we'll begin. Will the secretary please do the roll call?
Commissioner Hardy.
Present, thank you.
Commissioner Kreiner. Vice Chair Sodi Lane.
Present.
Commissioner McKenzie. Commissioner Vang.
Here.
Commissioner Diaz.
Here.
Chair Bray.
Present. Okay, we'll begin the Pledge of Allegiance. Are we ready to salute? And we have our nice flag ready? There it is. Great. Okay, ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation,
Under God.
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, I'll read the procedures now. While emergency order number 2020-12 was in effect, the City of Fresno public meetings will be conducted electronically and telephonically only. As such, this meeting is being conducted that way. The public may participate in tonight's meeting by using the Zoom link or calling the phone number provided on the Planning Commission agenda. Please note that all participants will be on mute until they are called upon by the chair, at which point they will be unmuted. If you are a member of the public and would like to comment on an item, please use the raise hand function on Zoom, or if you're calling in, dial *9. To avoid confusion, please wait for the item for you to desire to comment on to be called on by the chair before electronically raising your hand or dialing *9. I would also ask that you be careful to do it during the section, either in opposition or in favor of whatever we're discussing. For each matter considered by the commission, there will be a staff presentation followed by a presentation from the project applicant. Then testimony from supporters of the project will be taken, followed by testimony from those in opposition. The applicant will have the right to a final rebuttal presentation prior to the closing of the public hearing. In accordance with Section 13 of Article 2 of the Planning Commission Rules and Regulations governing the length of public debate, all public testimony from those in support and in opposition of the project will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Any testimony that references race, religion, ethnicity, economic status, national origin, or any other classification protected under state or federal law in a derogatory manner shall be deemed irrelevant and will not be considered by the commission in making its land use decisions. If you challenge these land use matters in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised in oral or written testimony or before the close of the hearing. Okay, so we'll move now to agenda approval. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Nope.
Okay, do any commissioners have any changes to the agenda?
Nope.
Chair Bray, for the record,
Okay.
Commissioners Reiner
Yes.
and McKenzie are present.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
And can we have a second,
Second.
please? Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Diaz, seconded by Commissioner Hardy. Could we please take the vote?
Commissioner Hardy,
Yes.
Commissioner Kreiner,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sodi Lane,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Vang,
Yes.
Commissioner Diaz,
Yes.
Chair Bray.
Yes. So for the consent calendar, we have consideration of the Planning Commission meeting scheduled for the year 2021. Does anybody have any comments on that? And also we have 2 entitlements that are included that we've passed with the agenda approval. So Raj, we're not going to vote on that, are we?
Excuse me. Are you asking about the consent calendar?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you can take the consent calendar together, and that would be the minutes, and then the meeting schedule, and then also the entitlement, or you can
Okay.
decide to take, B and then C, but you can take it together if you wish.
Okay, so we'll take those together. Can I have a motion to approve that, please?
Motion approved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Kreiner, seconded by Commissioner Vang. We please have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Hardy,
Yes.
Commissioner Kreiner,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sodi Lane,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Vang,
Yes.
Commissioner Diaz,
Yes.
Chair Bray.
Yes. Okay, that motion passed. Do we have any reports by commissioners? Okay, we'll move on to continued matters. We have none since item A has been referred back to the staff. So we will move to item C, which is ID 20-001417, consideration of conditional use permit a request for authorization to establish a state of California alcohol beverage control type 21 alcohol license. Can we have the staff presentation on that, please?
Yes, I'll go ahead and share my screen. Good evening. My name is Marisela Martinez, and I'm with the Planning and Development Department. Tonight, you will be considering conditional use permit application number P20-02558. The project site is located on the northeast corner of North Maple and East Beeheimer Avenues. The property is approximately 11.57 acres. As you can see on the screen, the subject property is primarily surrounded by single-family residential development to the north, east, and south, and has commercial development located to the west of the subject property. The planned land use and zoning classification of the property is community commercial. Conditional use permit application number P20-02558 requested authorization to establish the state of California alcohol beverage control, otherwise known as ABC type 21 alcohol license for the vacant parcel that was shown on the previous screens. It is located in Council District 6. The request to establish the type 21 ABC license was denied by the director on September 29th, 2020. That decision was then appealed by the applicant on October 1st and is being brought for your consideration. Staff assessed the proposed alcohol uses compliance with the location restrictions listed in Fresno Municipal Code section 15-2706-E. Staff reviewed the location's proximity to sensitive uses and found that there were no sensitive uses within 500 feet of the proposed alcohol use. The nearest sensitive use is Todd Beamer Park, located approximately 800 feet to the south of the property. Additionally, staff looked at item 2, the proximity to other alcohol beverage establishments. The proposed alcohol use did not meet this location restriction due to its proximity to an existing off-sale alcoholic beverage establishment located on the northwest corner of North Maple and East Beeheimer Avenues. Staff also looked at whether or not the proposed alcohol use was within a high crime area. The average number of offenses per districts within the city of Fresno is approximately 453. And per ABC, the total offenses in that reporting, that crime reporting district was below average and was therefore considered to not be in a high crime area. Furthermore, per alcohol beverage control, Census Tract 55.04 is allowed 2 off-sale alcohol licenses, and there are currently none. As I previously mentioned, the closest off-sale alcohol establishment is located to the west of the proposed alcohol use. Please note that if approved, the proposed alcohol use would not cause the area to be considered an area of high concentration due to the fact that there are no active off-sale licenses in that census tract. The existing off-sale license that is located on the northwest corner of North Maple and East Beeheimer Avenues is in a separate census tract, just for your information. The Fresno Police Department reviewed the proposed alcohol use and does not oppose the project, provided that the applicant agrees to the conditions listed in its memorandum dated September 22nd, 2020, and submits a complete security plan. The proposed alcohol use was also reviewed by the Council District 6 Project Review Committee on August 17th, 2020, where committee members voted unanimously to approve or recommend approval of the proposal with no additional recommendations or comments. In addition, a public hearing notice was sent out to the surrounding property owners within 1,000 feet of the subject property. One letter in support of the director's decision to deny conditional use permit application number P20-02558 was received. Based on the information provided to the commission, staff was unable to make the required findings outlined in Fresno Municipal Code section 15-5306 to grant a conditional use permit. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission deny the appeal and uphold the director's decision to deny conditional use permit application number P20-02558, requesting the type 21 ABC off-sale license. An environmental determination is not required for a denial. However, should the Planning Commission choose to approve the appeal, staff recommends that the Planning Commission continue the item to the following meeting so that an environmental determination may be made. And that concludes my presentation, and I am open for any questions.
Do any commissioners have questions for Marcellus? Okay, no questions. We will ask for the applicant's presentation, please.
Can anyone identify the applicant so I can unmute them?
Precision
The attendee.
Engineering.
Pardon?
Precision Civil Engineering.
Thank you.
Can you guys hear us now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to share my screen if possible.
I'm going to have to promote you if you need to share your screen. Hold on a second.
Okay.
You should be good to go.
Reopen. Okay, hold on one second. Let me go here. Share screen. Okay. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
So good evening. This is Benique Emerson with Precision Civil Engineering, representing the developer, SETI Management. And as staff pointed out, the item before you is a request for a Type 21 off-sale license for a future service station, convenience market, and retail center. So this is, again, an aerial photo of the project site. It's located on the northeast corner of Maple and Beeheimer. Before I get started and talk more about the project, I do want to provide some clarification on the record regarding the project. The site plan submitted for the project should have only depicted the corner development, which is approximately 3 acres in size. The site plan that was uploaded was related to a pre-application that was submitted on behalf of 2 potential buyers, and that the corner commercial 3-acre piece is proposed as a standalone project, and the developer plans to move forward with the project with or without the mini storage development. So the approval of the conditional use permit would not result in the mini storage being developed. One project is not directly tied to another. And we just want to point out that based on this information and the related project details, we believe that there's evidence in the record to support a Class 32 exemption for this alcohol CUP and future commercial development if Planning Commission chooses to approve the project. So now I'll talk a little bit about the project. Again, the request is currently just for an alcohol CUP, but it's in relationship to a proposed future development. And this development will include a neighborhood gas station, convenience store with retail and quick serve restaurants. So it's anticipated that the project would include 12 to 16 fuel pumps, air water dispensing machines, 1 to 2 sit down quick serve restaurants with an option for a drive-through. There will be a patio you can see on the north part of the site, a patio for outdoor dining. The market will focus on healthy food. And the convenience market here, which is the arrow pointing, is where the alcohol sales will be located. And again, the market the convenience market that's proposed along with this alcohol use will be more of an upscale establishment and will offer more variety than a typical convenience market. So we understood from the beginning that getting the support of the neighborhood was vital in getting the support of getting the project approved. So we actually went ahead and sent a neighborhood letter early in the process, just letting them know what we were proposing and letting them know if they had any questions or concerns, they could reach out and contact us. So there's the letter that was sent out. On the back of the letter was the conceptual site plan, that colored site plan that you guys were just looking at. It was sent to the same radius as the conditional use permit notices are sent, which is 1,000 feet. It included about 622 property owners. And with all of those letters sent, we received 3 phone calls and 6 emails. And just a quick summary of what we heard, people asked for more project details. They wanted to make sure there was a landscape buffer between the homes and the commercial development, which we let them know there would be. And there were some concerns about the use generally, but no concerns were raised about the alcohol sales specifically. And then in the red there, I have an example of one of the emails that we received, someone saying that they were looking forward to the new development and they had a suggestion for us. And again, we took into all the suggestions into consideration. And he just said that he was an excited neighbor. So again, staff brought this up or pointed this out, but the District 6 Review Committee reviewed the project on August 17th and they approved the project unanimously. So now I'm just going to talk briefly about the location restrictions. I won't go into too much detail because staff already discussed the 3 findings that can be made. So the project meets 3 of the 4 location restrictions, which it's not located near a sensitive use, it's not located within a high crime area, and it's not located within a high concentration area. So the only restriction it doesn't meet is that it's located within 500 feet of another alcoholic beverage establishment, and it's actually located about 320 feet from that existing store across the street. Again, that's not located near any sensitive uses. I'm gonna not go into too much detail, but this is just a map showing that 500-foot radius and where the existing sensitive uses are located. Again, not located within a high crime area, and this was verified by ABC, Alcohol Beverage Control, when we verified this very early in the process. And again, it's not located within a high concentration area. And we provided this map. This shows the census tract, the area in red. The area in green is the subject site. And as you can see, there are no other licenses within the census tract. So it's not in a over-concentrated census tract. So finally, the location restriction that the project cannot meet is that it is within 500 feet of an existing establishment. So here's another aerial photo that shows that existing establishment across the street. Again, the only criteria that the project does not meet is that it is located within 500 feet of another establishment. Again, the store will be about 320 feet away from that existing store. And I do want to point out, we did look at an alternative design for the site that would allow the convenience market to be more than 500 feet away. And it's possible, but it's a less advantageous site layout, both practically and aesthetically. So with that, I want to talk about exceptions. We believe strongly that 2 exceptions can be made for the location restrictions. So the first item, the first exception is that the proposed use is not located within an area in which the chief of police has determined, based upon quantifiable information, that the proposed use would be detrimental to public health, safety, or welfare of persons located in the area, or would increase the severity of existing law enforcement or public nuisance problems in the area. And we believe that based on information provided by the Fresno Police Department, that this exception finding can clearly be made. So in terms of not being located within an area that's detrimental, that would be detrimental to public health, safety, and welfare, we believe that this can be supported by the police department conditions where they clearly state that the project, that they are not in opposition to the CUP, and provided that we comply with the listed conditions, which the project will. In addition, we have provided the item that the police department requested, the security plan. And so we believe that it's clear based on this letter that the project can meet that finding. The second bullet point related to not being located in an area that would increase the severity of existing law enforcement or public nuisance problems. We did reach out to Danny Kim and ask for any data on crime statistics, and he let us know that he ran the report and that there's no major Part 1 crime in the area. And that's per emails that we received from Detective Kim, who's the Northeast Fresno POP officer. And in addition, we believe that exception number 2 can be made, which is that the proposed off-premises sale of alcoholic beverages is incidental and appurtenant to a larger retail use and provides for a more complete and convenient shopping experience. So we believe this exception can be made based on the conceptual site plan. So here's the conceptual site plan again. So the alcohol use is only a very small component of this overall future development of the proposed commercial corner here. The overall project will include the gas station and convenience store, which will have a fuel canopy, which is 5,000 square feet, convenience store, which is about 3,500 square feet, quick service restaurant, about 2,000 square feet. It'll have a separate retail pad, and then it'll also have additional quick service restaurant with a potential drive-through. So based on this, you can see, this small corner over here will be the store, and within that store, which is also a small component, will be the alcohol sales. So again, we strongly believe that that exception finding can be made for this project. So I just want to touch on the CUP findings as well, because we understand that in order for Planning Commission to approve the project, they also have to make the CUP findings contained in section 155306 of the municipal code. So if Planning Commission is able to make the exceptions as we previously discussed, and as we believe there's clear evidence in the record, findings A, C, and D can clearly be made. All of those, the reason why staff did not make those findings are related to this 500-foot location restriction. We disagree with staff on finding B. We believe it's clear that this project is consistent with general plan policies related to development types that are intended to be located in the community commercial land use designation. This project is proposing exactly what the general plan calls for in this location. And then finally, we believe that finding E can be made as well. The project has gone through the pre-application process to review the site layout. And although this CUP does not propose physical development, it is clear based on the pre-application comments that the site is physically suitable for the type and intensity of development being proposed in the future. Other reasons to support this project and also support the findings. So the applicant is willing to purchase a license from within the city of Fresno, and this will potentially alleviate oversaturation in other parts of town. We also wanted to point out that the developer has owned and operated the Snappy Food Store on Ingram and Nees for many years, and it's a clean and well-maintained facility with no issues. And I have some pictures of that location on Ingram and Nees. You can see the existing facility that they currently operate. And then I wanted to sort of point out this image of the street, and you can see this is a really well-maintained site. It's heavily screened from the street, well landscaped, and the developer will do a similar quality project at this location. So with that, that concludes our presentation. We are here to answer any questions if you have any. I do want to hand it off to the developer. It's Sethi Management. Deep is on the phone. He wants to add a couple of things. Thank you.
Hey, Gavin, can we allow him to speak? So Gavin, I believe there's someone on the phone, the developer.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I stepped out. Is it Matt?
She didn't say who it was. Just this.
It's Deep.
I think it's that deep. It's deep.
Sethi Management.
Can you identify the person on the attendees list, please?
Attendees list. Okay, I'm looking here.
Oh, I'm guessing it's the person that just waved at me. Hold on.
Yeah, Gaurav's, yeah. Sethi.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to say thank you guys for all your time. We're a family, a Fresno family. We've been developing and operating businesses in Fresno 35 years. Not the Ingram and Needs location, but built, bought, and sold about 45 gas stations inside of Fresno over the last 35 years. We only have one left, but we did just build the Hyatt Place on Fresno and Herndon. Fresno and Herndon. And I just kind of wanted to talk about the type of businesses we run. We are very active with the community. I was on Chief Dyer's advisory board for 10 years. And we've had zero police issues at any of our locations in those 35 years. And we do want to bring a community facility and not your typical corner liquor store. That's just not the type of business we run. Ingram and Needs, our Shell station there, has been open for 12 years. Zero police issues. Only 4 doors of beer, wine, and liquor. And like Bonique said, it's an ancillary product, but kind of a must in the gas station industry. The plan doesn't really pencil out without us doing that. And then, we work with our neighborhoods, and, that's the big thing, was getting the neighbors on board and, kind of building this patio area and doing a very kind of higher end, it's still, beer and wine is still a service that, with that many homes in the area need. And that's why we've kind of picked this site. We do agree that a lot of Fresno has a ton of oversaturation, but I do believe this area doesn't. And I think it'll be a wonderful, great project that for the whole 3 acres will bring over 40 jobs to the area as well. And if you guys have any questions for me or how we operate, we're not developers that flip. We still operate and hire and run the shops ourselves. It's not some big outside corporation. We are local to the valley.
Do any commissioners have a question for the applicant?
I have a question. Have you identified a potential type 21 within the city of Fresno in which you might purchase it from?
I've worked with different companies that, they're brokers that go out and buy them. I have called. It's not cheap to buy one in Fresno comparative to the rest of California because of the laws, actually that my father kind of helped get passed, because I do think the oversaturation in Fresno is crazy. And so, yes, I have identified it. It would cost about $150,000 additional dollars above what a normal license would cost. But, it would take out one of, your kind of corner liquor stores where all the windows are covered and they're selling to minors. You have, a lot of loitering and drinking outside, and that's not the type of business we operate. And then on the other areas, we're in talks with Starbucks or, higher end quick service restaurants, and then thinking maybe like dry cleaning or a nail salon or some type of service that would kind of enhance the neighborhood for the retail side. Is kind of just the game plan that I have. And then our partner would be Dr. Boz. So it'd be me and Dr. Boz as partners, and he's the local kind of allergist in Fresno. And this would be our third project together, kind of that we do together like this.
Does anyone else have other questions?
I do. I would like to know what is the percentage of your sales that you project on just your liquor?
Average. So the local closest one I have is Ingram and Ease, and our beer and wine and liquor there is probably 18 to 20% is our average. If you take fuel out, if you add fuel sales in, then it's 1 or 2%, but it's not very fair to keep fuel in because it's so many gallons at such a high cost that kind of eclipses the inside sales because, we do so much in fuel sales. It's less than 2% if you include fuel retail.
So it's not going to make you or break you with 2%.
It's the convenience, ma'am. People just won't come if they can't get that. It would make or break the deal. That's why I did the CUP first rather than just the ABC CUP rather than the whole thing, because if it isn't approved, then we just won't move forward with the plan. I'm still in escrow and we just won't do it. It just won't make sense for the whole shopping center.
Okay, are there any further questions? Okay, so with no further questions, we'll move to the public. Is there anyone from the public here in favor of the project?
I have Matt with his hand up.
Hey, Matt.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I raised my hand actually in connection with item 5 on the consent calendar, C1, the entitlements consideration of vesting tentative track map. And so what I would like to do is let the public comment on what's before the commission right now. And once that's through, I'd like the chance to comment on section consent calendar 5C1.
So Raj, how do we handle that?
So staff also alerted me to that, and so I was going to point it out after this item. But you can go back to item C1 as long as there's a motion to reconsider. If you would like to reconsider the consent calendar, you can certainly reconsider it and allow public comment on it.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so I'm hearing no one in support of the project. Is there anyone here who is in opposition?
There are no hands up. Well, actually, yes, hold on. Raphael just raised his hand.
Okay.
Yes, I'm the one that wrote the letter to the commission in support of the original decision. And without going into all the details, I don't believe it's something that we should go forward with. I think there's a lot of studies and research that I pointed out in that letter that says this typically leads to a high incidence of crime and excessive drinking, public drunkenness, and disorderly conduct. And I'm very concerned that that's what's going to happen. And there's already a liquor store right across the street. There's already a coffee shop and some other commercial entities over there. And so I don't think we should go ahead and proceed with this. I don't want to go and read the letter, but like I said, there's a lot of studies that says this is not something that should be considered. The policies, the city should really aim at policies cutting crime by curbing the availability of alcohol and the consumption. There's also a lot of elementary schools nearby. They may not be within the 500 feet or 1,000 feet, but we got 2 elementary schools, an intermediate school, a high school, and a closed community, all which can lead to, like I said, excessive drinking and so forth. So I support the original decision to deny this application. Thank you.
Thank you for your input. Is there anyone else in opposition? Okay, seeing none. go ahead. Is there someone else?
No.
Okay.
Just telling you.
Okay. So then we'll close the hearing and take it back to the planning commissioners.
I want to make a comment. I think, Raj, this is more of a question for you. So, I think the project itself, I would be in support of it if the, the developer, the applicant, if they go ahead and let's say they purchase another type 21 within an oversaturated part of Fresno. Can we make it a contingent where it's like, we can approve this, but you have to purchase a type 21 in a oversaturated part of Fresno?
I'm not quite sure. I'd have to look at that. I can maybe more than happy to look into that for you. Will, can you answer the question, or maybe Marcella?
Commissioners, Will Tackett, Planning and Development. It's my belief that the commission can discretionarily impose conditions if that's something you're interested in doing, as previously stated. If there is an intent to approve, staff would request that we go ahead and continue this to the next meeting, and we could research that item in further detail along with the potential for an environmental finding in order for you to approve. So that would be my recommendation.
Do we have any other comments from the commissioners?
I do. And I had the same concern as Commissioner Vang. I would like to see in the areas in Fresno that is oversaturated, that we clean some of those areas. I would like to see them purchase liquor license from the same area, from District 5, and not necessarily for any other districts. That would be something that I would like to put out there, to be quite honest.
Okay, so it sounds like two commissioners are thinking the same thing. Does anyone else have a comment?
I'd like to clarify what Monica just said.
Sure.
So Monica, even though this project is in District 6, you want the applicant to purchase a liquor license from District 5?
No, I want the applicant to purchase it from the district that they're planning and having the CUP. If this is District 6, maybe it should be within that district, District 6. The same district.
Okay, Commissioner Hardy?
Yeah, thank you. I'm kind of in favor what Commissioner Vang said. If this body's going in that direction, I would be in favor. I don't think there's a lot of saturation in District 6, to be quite honest. I would be in support of making a requirement to take it from District 3 or another area where there is problems with signs all over the windows that just look like complete eyesores. So I'm kind of on Commissioner Vang's opinion of it.
Is there anyone else?
I can support that, as long as it's within Fresno.
So where we are right now, though, is we're not actually sure we can do that. And so we would need to refer this back to the staff so they can do further research to see if, we don't even know if that's okay to do. So I believe we need a motion to refer it back to staff. Is that correct?
Chair Bray, if I may, if we could request a continuance to a date certain, the next meeting on November 4th versus a referral back to staff, that would be appreciated.
Okay.
And can I don't know if you guys can hear me, but can I just say that the applicant already agrees to that? And council, when a previous alcohol CUP was appealed to city council, they made a similar requirement and added it on the record at the hearing. So we'd request that if possible, that we would be willing to add it now as a condition, and if the project could move forward with approval tonight.
Yeah, because my only concern was when I heard him speaking, he mentioned the fact that within the city of Fresno is relatively expensive, that he was looking throughout the state of California. So I want to make sure that we add that stipulation where it's like, okay, if you want to go ahead and do this, we're fully in support of it, but you have to make sure you purchase a type 21 within the city of Fresno in the oversaturated part.
I have a question. What could be considered, Mr. Vang, on an oversaturated? Do we have a study on that, or can we make a decision right now with it? Because over Fresno, that could be anything.
Commissioner Hardy, just to answer your question, oversaturation would be as to the number of licenses per the census tract. But I did look into this just real briefly while we were on the record, and I believe that you can condition it on the purchase of a license from an area where licenses are oversaturated. So I believe you can make the motion. I will remind the commission that you are still required to make the findings that are set forth in the attachments to the staff report. So I would like to point your attention there.
Okay, so it sounds like we have the ability to and a wish to require that, but first we have to get past the one finding that they're not able to make. So does someone want to make a motion as to whether which finding were and why we're able to move past that?
And I'm just going to throw another wrench in this.
Okay, you do that.
I apologize. So if the commission's desire, if the commission feels that it can make the findings, then my recommendation would still be to refer this back to staff to make the required environmental finding, which is not provided for in the staff report.
Okay. So can we have a motion to that effect that are we gonna continue it till the next meeting so that the staff can make the required environmental? We do that? Okay. Well, then I think I'll just make a motion that we continue us to our next meeting so that the staff can make the required studies.
And direct staff to conduct an environmental assessment.
Yes, so staff can conduct an environmental assessment. So I made the motion. Would anyone like to second it?
I can second that.
Okay, so I made the motion. Commissioner Diaz seconded it. Can we please have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Hardy,
Yes.
Commissioner Kreiner,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sodi Lane, Commissioner McKenzie, oh, sorry. Vice Chair Sodi Lane,
Yes.
okay. Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Vang,
Yes.
Commissioner Diaz,
Yes.
Chair Bray.
Yes. Okay, so I guess this would be the place where we would, where we'll ask the commission if they would like to reconsider the consent calendar so we can address.
Chair Bray, before you go on, I had a question. Before you go on, I had a question for staff. So I would be interested, and I don't know what the process is. So my understanding is the finding on the last item that we're looking at is the establishment being within 500 feet of an existing establishment. And the applicant did mention something regarding an exception. What would be the process to learn more about that exception and the finding? Like, can we work with staff? Because we have to come back with something. So I'm trying to understand what we should do to be able to do that.
So you can reach out directly to Planning Commission staff, or you can connect with me directly via email. Again, I would request that you all just follow the Brown Act rules and communicate individually. But the record is before you. So the applicant's presentation, for instance, from today, as well as staff report are there, in addition to additional information that can be garnered.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank
Can
you.
I ask a quick question?
Mm-hmm.
Raj. So on page 4 of 8, if we can determine any one of A, B, and C, is that all we need for the exception? It doesn't have to be all 3.
Right, so just one of those exceptions, being made based upon the evidence provided is all that's required to overcome the location restriction.
Got it.
Yeah. And I believe, just for the record, you're talking about 152706E5.
Yes.
A, B, or C. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So is there a motion to reconsider the consent calendar so the gentleman that had raised his hand can speak?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to reconsider.
Okay, can we have a second, please?
I'll second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hardy with a second by Commissioner Sodi Lane. We have a vote, please.
Commissioner Hardy,
Yes.
Commissioner Kreiner,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sodi Lane,
I think you have to speak, Raj.
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Vang,
Yes.
Commissioner Diaz,
Yes.
Chair Bray.
Yes. Okay, so that passed. Can we please unmute the gentleman that wished to speak about this?
He needs to raise his hand and identify himself again.
Okay, Matt.
So just to be clear for the record, you're opening up the consent calendar for public comment. Sorry.
Yes, thank you.
Great. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Matt Backowski, Backowski. I'm an attorney with the Backowski Law Group here in Fresno, located at 7522 North Colonial Avenue. And my office represents the developer on this project, Lennar Homes. And I just wanted to comment, make sure that everybody's on the same page and raise a point of clarification of one of the conditions, potential conditions that might be associated with this development. So one of the conditions of approval for the vesting tentative tract map is to comply with a memorandum from the Public Works Department that was dated August the 10th, 2020. And in that Public Works Department memorandum, there's reference to the developer being required to install a traffic signal at an intersection that's east of the project at the intersection of Temperance and Butler. The project's being built at Armstrong and Butler. And I'd like to read for you what this memorandum from the Public Works Department to the Planning Development Department says. First, there are 7 conditions laid out in this letter, and Lennar agrees with all of them. We have no problem, those all were, except for one, and it's the 5th condition located on page 3 of this letter, which reads, the proposed project shall install a traffic signal with protected left turn phasing per City of Fresno standards at the intersection of Temperance Avenue and Butler Avenue prior to the issuance of 100 building permits. The traffic signal shall be installed at the ultimate location of equipment and may require the acquisition of right of way. That condition, that is first, it's the only place that it's mentioned. And secondly, it's inconsistent with the traffic impact study that's been performed, as well as the mitigated negative declaration that's been submitted and adopted. I'd like to start with the traffic impact study prepared by John Rowland of Peters Engineering Group. It's dated August the 6th. I'm going to refer to page 16, and I'm going to briefly read what Mr. Rowland's conclusions and recommendations were after performing the study. He said that the level of service for the shared eastbound left through lane at the intersection of Temperance and Butler Avenues is expected to drop from D to E during the AM peak hours. The intersection is expected to operate at acceptable level of service during the PM peak hour. Peak hour traffic signal warrants are not expected to be satisfied, and the project is not expected to add enough trips to the intersection on a daily basis to substantially change results warrants 1 and 2. Considering that alternative routes are available and that warrants are not satisfied, both all-way stop and traffic signals appear to be infeasible, and it is recommended that traffic signals not be installed. And he concludes with payment of the City of Fresno TSMI fee is recommended, and as a provision of commensurate with the level of impact sufficiently to improve the overall transportation system. So that was the project engineer who performed this study, recommendations, conclusions, and findings. And that's consistent what was then approved in the mitigated negative declaration submitted September the 30th by the city planning department. And I'm referring specifically to page 110 of the mitigated negative declaration, in which Mr. Kelsey George, planner, similarly concludes that the intersection of Temperance and Butler is expected to operate at acceptable level of service during the PM peak hour, considering that all alternative routes are available and that warrants are not satisfied. Both all-way traffic stop and signals appear to be infeasible, and it's recommended that traffic signals not be installed until such time that warrants are satisfied. And as with the engineer, in the mitigated negative declaration, the recommendation is payment of the City of Fresno TSMI fee is recommended as a provision commensurate with the level of impact to sufficiently improve the overall transportation system. Impacts from the projects will be less than significant. So the question here, or the issue here, is in this letter from the Planning and Development Department, there seems to be this condition that the developer install a traffic signal at the intersection up the street, whereas the traffic studies and the negative declaration both have said that's not required, not necessary, infeasible. And instead, what the developer should be required to do is pay the City of Fresno the TSMI fee. The traffic study, or the engineer has advised that Lennar's contribution to traffic at that intersection during peak hours will be less than 3%, and it will be approximately 1.5% during non-peak hours. That's the contribution from this development. It's a very insignificant, small amount of contribution to traffic at that intersection, and yet there's this potential condition that the developer is required to install a traffic signal that's going to cost in excess of approximately $400,000, which is infeasible, and can't be absorbed by the developer or potentially passed on to the buyer, which makes home prices impractical or infeasible. So we just want to clarify that is not a condition. Instead, that Lennar will be required to pay the City of Fresno TSMI fee, as the requirement to install a traffic signal is unwarranted. It's excessive and potentially constitutes a taking under the Fifth Amendment, as there's no causal connection, there's no nexus between this development and installation of a full traffic signal at the intersection of Temperance and Butler. And so what I wanted to comment and request is that that condition be removed and it be amended so that there's no requirement by the developer to install a traffic signal, but instead to require that the developer pay the TSMI fee as recommended by the traffic study and in the mitigated negative declaration. Thank you for hearing me. I appreciate that.
Okay. So what do we do with that?
So Chair Gray.
Yes.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't know what I'm talking about, but I feel like this is something that should be considered when there's actually a planned development, not at this point. Am I correct?
Sorry, what's the question?
I feel like this is something that should be considered not at this point, but at the point there's a planned development. And we don't really have a staff report in front of us, and there's nothing in here that says anything about a traffic signal. So I'm not sure what we're supposed to do with this.
So my recommendation is at this point, if the commission's will is to hear this item as part of the contested consent. So consent items are meant to be easy items that you just breeze through as you did originally. That we would need a motion to reconsider the agenda approval. And this item would be pulled from the consent calendar. And then it would go through the staff presentation, applicant presentation, public comment for and against process that is laid out for all general admin items at the Planning Commission. So if that is the will of the commission, then that would start the process of hearing this, just like any other item.
Okay. So I'll make that motion. Can I say what you said? Okay, that's the motion we would like to make. So would anyone like to second that motion?
I can second that motion for you.
Okay, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Hardy,
Yes.
Commissioner Kreiner,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sodi Lane,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Vang,
Yes.
Commissioner Diaz,
Yes.
Chair Bray.
Yes. Okay, so that passes. And so now that
Now
we've
you
done
would
that,
make a, you
Yeah,
would
we need
ask for the agenda approval once again.
Okay.
And at this point, somebody can make a motion to pull this item from the consent calendar to the contested consent.
Okay. So would someone like to make that motion?
I will make that motion.
Second.
Yeah, motion made by Commissioner Diaz, and was that Commissioner McKenzie that seconded it? Okay, thank you. We have a vote, please.
Commissioner Hardy,
Yes.
Commissioner Kreiner,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sodi Lane, Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Vang,
Yes.
Commissioner Diaz,
Yes.
Chair Bray.
Yes. Okay. Is that all fixed now, Raj?
We're almost there. So
Okay.
at this point, we're moving forward with the agenda approval with the consent item 5C1 having been pulled. Now you can vote on the consent calendar because you still have the remaining item 5B1. So you would need a motion to approve the consent calendar as amended.
Can we have a motion to approve the consent calendar as amended?
So moved.
Okay, a motion by Commissioner Kreiner,
Second.
seconded by, I'm sorry, I didn't know who that was.
Me.
Commissioner McKenzie. We have a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hardy,
Yes.
Commissioner Kreiner,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sodi Lane,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Vang,
Yes.
Commissioner Diaz,
Yes.
Chair Bray.
Yes. Okay, so that passes and we will move on. Is there a report by the secretary?
So at this point, you can move on to the contested consent calendar, which is this item now. You might want to ask staff if they're ready to present it. And if they're not, they may recommend continuing this. But you might ask staff if they're ready to present this contested consent item, the one that Mr.
Okay, is staff ready to present this?
Bukowski.
Yeah, is staff ready to present this contested item?
Good evening, commissioners. I have my original presentation ready if the commission should choose to hear it. This is the first I'm hearing about the traffic signal issue, so I don't have information beyond what was already included in my presentation. But I can give the original one if that would be helpful.
Is there any way, can we go ahead and just make a motion to continue that? Just to make it easier on the staff. I don't want to put too much pressure on them right now. I want them to make sure that they do their due diligence too. So
Commissioner, you can make that motion.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to go ahead and continue this matter to continue the matter.
I second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call
Sorry,
vote?
I just want to clarify. Commissioner Vang, are you continuing it to a date certain or referring it back to staff, just to clarify?
Let me go ahead and I'll make a motion to
the next meeting?
To the next meeting, yeah. Let's go ahead and make a motion to continue to the date certain for, when is our next date? November
4th.
November 4th, please.
Okay. And so Commissioner McKenzie, do you want to still second that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Hardy,
Yes, thank you.
Commissioner Kreiner,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sodi Lane, Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Vang,
Yes.
Commissioner Diaz,
Yes.
Chair Bray.
Yes. Okay. So I think we can now go to report by secretary.
Thank you, Chair Bray. Staff has no report this evening for you.
Okay. And we have no scheduled oral communications and unscheduled oral communications. If you're a member of the public and would like to comment, please use the raise hand function on Zoom, or if you're calling in, dial *9. You have 3 minutes. Okay, so no hands raised, so we will adjourn. It is 7:03. I want to thank the staff for all their work and the commissioners for all their listening. So thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.